I just need to be faithful and true to the message. Republicans are really a discerning group of voters who will vote their principles before they will ultimately just vote sort of the headline of the day. And that's where I feel like my strength is going to be. So we're developing a strong grassroots organization in each of these 3 primary states, building on the base that I have, which is obviously a conservative base, along with the Christian evangelical voting base. Huge part of Iowa, big part of South Carolina. What the president did was take preemptive action that was a wise course that had the support of both houses of Congress and both parties. Now people want to second guess that decision. Well, if he hadn't have taken the action and Saddam Hussein had in fact had a weapon of mass destruction that he launched against the United States in a very bloody and deadly attack, then this discussion in Capitol Hill would be buzzing with the Harry Reids of the world saying, well, if the president only had acted, if the president had only taken preemptive action. So the easiest job in the world is quarterbacking the game that was played yesterday. It is completely meaningless, if not insulting, that there are some people that now want to go back and say, given what you knew now, given what you know now, would you have acted differently? That's really, to me, immaterial. The one thing that is common to Republicans, seal the borders. I don't hear anyone that disputes that we really ought to have a secure border. It doesn't make sense to have these porous borders over which people can run, jump, or swim, and it doesn't seem to matter who they are or where they've come from. That's the first thing. Another thing that people agree on is that on this side of the border, we've got to have a rational way to process the people that we need and actually want in our economy, so that there is a legal pathway to go from the places where people are to the jobs that we need them to fill. So what we've got to do is to say, look, we're going to have a door and a wall. There's going to be some definite security lines, just like there are for me when I go to check in at the airport in Little Rock, and I got to show photo ID. I got to prove who I am. I have to give them that boarding pass to tell them I really have a place on the other side of this layer of security. It's not unreasonable. My faith will affect my decisions. It will affect my policy. Now let me explain how it will affect it. I don't think it'll scare people, but what will scare them is if they thought I was disingenuous. I think it's far worse for a person running for office to downplay the impact of faith in his life, because it tells me one of two things. Either his faith is so insignificant and marginal and immaterial that it really doesn't affect him, which tells me his faith is not very important. That worries me. If a person has any faith at all and it's not important, then why have it? I'd rather have a person come out and say, look, I'm a rank atheist. I don't believe there is a God. I'm going to live like it. Okay, at least I know where you're coming from. I can handle that a lot better than a person says, yes, my faith is dear and precious to me. Won't affect the thing I do. Won't affect the way I live. Won't affect my personal life, my character. But it's real important to me. That's a complete disconnect. And I think the American people see through it. So I've always felt like that if I'm going to be rejected, if people are going to choose not to support me, I wanted it to be because they really know the product, not because I sold them something that wasn't true. One of the issues is the issue of a flat tax, which I think is the direction we need to go. Anything that would help us to eliminate the complexity of the IRS tax code would be a very good thing. The 4 criteria to me for tax reform ought to be that taxes would be flatter, fair, finite, and family friendly. And those are the 4 factors. The finite part is that there is a limitation on how much tax that people are going to be subjected to. For example, I was one of the few Republican candidates for president who actually supported the Bush tax cuts when they were first proposed and still support them today. This is not an issue that I've been on both sides of.